Today we're going to have the first annual burger cook-off. I'll be making tofu burgers.
And the traditional ground beef.
No, tofu's traditional.
Tofu's traditional?
We're in China. Did you know tofu has been in China for over 2,000 years?
Holy cow.
Right. But what we have here is traditionally made tofu.
Old school.
Old school tofu. Whereas in Kai-Fai Chu, have you been to Green Door and you see where they make the tofu?
Yeah.
They have the machinery and all that stainless steel stuff. Would be made the old traditional way where you have wooden crates with lots of holes in it. And you separate the curds in the whey, you pour it in there and the curds go through.
Through.
I mean the whey goes through and the curd stays. And then they just press it down. And I think it's all made in wooden slats because I've seen them bring it out in wood. And with tofu, the important thing is to always have it in water and change the water every day, or it will go off.
Huh.
And then this tofu, I would say I wouldn't trust over 3 days.
Yeah.
And if you buy a vacuum packed one, you take it out maybe 5 days, but you always change the water. Yeah.
Can you tell us where the hamburger comes from?
The hamburger came from this part of the cow. The rump roast.
And what did the cow have to say?
He was very happy.
So I take about half this tofu, and this much tofu here cost today 40 kwai. 4 kwai, yeah. Oh, 40 would be a lot, which is about 70 cents. And I used to make tofu in Adelaide, South Australia. I'm going to start off with mashing it. The quick thing about tofu, there's different textures of tofu. There's firm tofu and soft tofu. This is good for burgers, firm tofu. Soft tofu is good for like if you're making tofu cheesecakes. Tofu is made from soybeans, and what you do is
From the rump of the soybeans?
from the rump of the soybean. The way you make tofu is you soak them overnight, the way I used to make it. You soak them overnight with water running all the time, and I used to do 50 kilo bags in a 100-gallon tub. I put my 50 kilos of beans in there and let the water run all night, then go home. And then the next day I would take them all out, drain them out, and I had a 100-gallon cooker, and I'd put all the beans in there, and full of water, bring it to a boil for about 10 minutes. And while they soaked overnight, they would go 2.5 times their size. And there's over 200 different types of soybeans. And there's only some soybeans that are really good for tofu. A lot of them are good for feeding cows. Did you know, I got some statistics about how much it costs to feed a cow.
Oh, yeah.
To feed the world. This comes out straight from factual cookbook that I wrote, Tofu Cookery.
So I've got my ground beef, and in the suitcase on this trip back to the States, we loaded up with our Lowry's seasoning salt. My dad used to use Lowry's on just about everything, and so we mixed in some Lowry's and some pepper about an hour and a half ago, and just set it in the fridge to get the flavoring throughout the mixture, and make a nice bun-sized patty.
It takes a certain amount of tofu or soybeans to raise a certain amount of cows. Something like 10 times the amount of soybeans go to cows that could be used just to make soybean products, such as tofu.
Absolutely. Last year when we had the water organization here for Earth Day, Thirst, they had all kinds of interesting little posters throughout the school, and took like 500 gallons of water to raise
For a kilo of meat.
for a kilo of meat, or, yeah, some insane amount of water. So it does make sense to eat a little bit lower down on the food chain.
So I just added some brown rice, which I've pre-cooked, because if you put it in here not cooked yet, makes a tofu burger taste a little fuzzy. So here's brown rice, and I got some beans, black beans, from Lena, Tag gave me fresh beans because her husband's a trader in beans or something like that. And so I soaked these overnight and cooked them up. So I'm gonna mash them up. And it's kind of important with your beans that you cook them to a point where they're soft. Because the last batch I made of burgers, they were okay, but the beans were still kind of hard on them. Yes.
While he's getting that going here, we've got some sauteed onions that we will put on top of our burgers. And I've got fresh onions and fresh tomatoes as well. But a sauteed onion adds a little extra zing of flavor.
Putting some mushrooms in it too. I mean, the thing with tofu burger is basically you just put anything you want in it. Like veggies, like we had some. Honey, where's the carrots?
Oh,
The grated carrots.
right here.
Okay, we already have great. I use carrots a lot. I think they come out the nicest in here. That might be a little
You
bit
just
too
do
much.
that on the cheese shredder. You just shred them.
Yep. Yeah. So can you mix things in that, right? I mean, put
Oh yeah.
different vegetables in there.
Oh yeah.
And what we need something to hold this together. And usually you can use breadcrumbs or flour, whole wheat flour. I just have white flour, but vegetable mix in it. But it's the flour that holds it together.
So was that 2 tablespoons or
Oh, that's
3
something I don't measure.
tablespoons?
That's
I was gonna say I haven't seen
I'm
the
shocked.
the
No.
measuring
I don't.
spoons or the measuring cup.
I don't measure anything. Tofu cheesecakes, nothing ever tastes the same twice. And so, even when I used to manufacture my things commercially, people would say, well, they didn't taste like last week's. And I was just saying earlier, I think I had a 40-gallon mixer. And I'd throw my tofu in there, and I had these big bags of spices, and I'd throw them in. And sometimes it'd be different herbs, or if you're an American, you say herbs. I'm gonna throw herb in there, and you look for slow herb. But herbs, because it starts with a H or an H. In Australia, they say H, a lot of people do. You don't need that. I mean, I get recipes in here called like tofu terry. This is actually called move over Big Mac, here comes the tofu burger.
Oh.
So this is kind of a nice, it's kind of held together. So, and what happened one time, I was gonna make tofu burgers like really large scale, because I like to do things large scale. And so I went to Germany actually, and to get some equipment, and I bought this burger maker. Paid $3,000 for it in Dusseldorf back in 1981.
Holy cow.
And I brought it back to Australia, or I sent back to Australia, and I made my big 40-gallon mixture of tofu and everything, and I was really excited. I had my whole thing lined up. I was going to start making them, 100 burgers every 5 minutes. I was going to ship them all over and become very wealthy. And I put my burger mixture in there, and it just stopped up the whole machine.
Oh.
Because, like meat has fat and cries of animal ancestors in it and stuff like that. That make things go forward.
Lubrication.
Lubrication.
Yeah.
If they're too dry, they'll just fall apart.
Just the right button, right?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, it's recording now. Yeah. Now you can hear the sizzling of the burgers in the background. Oh, I put flaxseed in it.
Fabulous.
Oh,
I might move
you want some flaxseed in it?
Very impressed.
Oh, okay, well, maybe that's a good idea.
I don't want you to be concerned.
All right.
I'm a Democratic eater.
Want some onion?
Joaquin, that's yours?
Good to go.
Bun? Come on, you gotta eat. Come here and not eat.
Somebody sitting in his chair here?
No, Joe
Just so I can be
Fred.
sitting on them.
Joe Fred.
There you go. Super burger. Super tofu burger. At the end of the day,
This is delicious, just burgers.